I think this is our biggest need, and I also think it's the hardest thing. I mean, second to quarterback, the hardest thing to go pick up in free agency if our team is poised in December to make big moves.
Yeah, and I get it. I'm not saying, I've already said I think the Packers get 3 receivers in this draft. However, I don't see them using 2 first-round picks to get 2 wide receivers. Yeah. The other position I would say is defensive tackle, and I say that for a couple of reasons. I mean, we have Kenny Clark, who's obviously an All-Pro, huge piece of the Packers defense. But according to Pro Football Focus, there are only 5 players in the projected to go in the top 100 at that position. So if the Packers find somebody, for example, Bernard Raymond from Central Michigan is projected to go at number 15 or so overall. Now, if he falls to 22, the Packers are going to see the value in that type of pick versus, okay, we have a wide receiver that we could, pick up and we think could be a contributor, but there's also somebody else that we could probably find at 28.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's kind of what I envision happening.
Yep.
And tomorrow, but
and all mock draft, predictions and stuff like that always assume little to no movement, right? Unless it's an obvious trade up or trade down. But let's just dabble in that world for a second. Do you see us giving up a pick to move up for any one of these receivers, or do you see us saying, I was just listening to this on the radio today about the Vikings roster. I don't know what our roster looks like, but they were going through the 53-man roster, and it was like, how many people on the roster are first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth round draft picks? And like, amazingly, so many of them are that late second and third round. Like, sure, you have your first rounders, mostly from the last 2 or 3 years. But do you see any value in saying, let's go get more picks, right? Maybe let's pick up a safety and a receiver. Don't have to choose by giving up one of our 2 first rounders.
Yeah, and I mean that's a scenario I can also see is the Packers trading back. So they're like, all right, well, we have 22. Maybe nobody on the board they feel is worth that, and they think that they can get the players they want, and they trade out of the first, or they trade their first pick, get another second round and a third round, or second round and a fifth round, or something like that, and then they get more bites at the apple. I can definitely see that happening, and we've seen it before.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not going to be mad at that as long as that first round pick stays a receiver. I just think it's, and I think it's the noob in me, it's the rube in me, it's the guy who doesn't know what I'm doing in me. But like, it's just the obvious play for any fan. I know the scouts and the people a lot smarter than us are know what they're doing at least a little bit more than we do. But it would just be so disappointing to see us not take something in the first from a receiver.
I mean, how long does that disappointment last? I mean, look, let's talk quickly about
all year.
Hold on. I mean, okay, but like, I think a couple of years ago we took Kevin King over T.J. Watt, right?
Yep.
In retrospect, you can kind of conceive any narrative you want. We needed a cornerback. Everybody was excited to get a cornerback. I don't think anybody knew how good TJ Watt was going to be. I mean, we were familiar with him obviously playing at Wisconsin, but I don't think anybody thought he was going to be the player that he is. My point is like, yes, it might be might be disappointing, and oh man, it would have been way more exciting if they had taken a wide receiver. But I think we need to keep in mind long-term value and value in general, and I think we would all love to see a wide receiver at 22, but in a couple of years, that feeling is going to wear off, and I think if we're left with a Rashawn Gary, a Darnell Savage, a Jair Alexander, a Kenny Clark, and Eric Stokes, these are, by the way, Packers' last 6 first-round picks. Jordan Love, jury's out, obviously, but yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Do you understand my point? Is just like, yeah, it's maybe not the sexy pick to take a safety or a defensive tackle in the first round, but
I 100% agree with you, and I don't even think it's like you said a couple of years later. I don't even think it's that, right? I mean, come September, whatever, the first week of the season, you don't look at these guys and go, oh, first, second, third, fourth. I mean, you kind of do, but not really. You want them to make the play, right? So, yes, of course, at the end of the day, we want the best players available. But if we don't do what we all want as fans from a receiver standpoint, I think there's going to be a lot of upset fans. Okay, who cares? Whatever. Let's move on. We got to do something else than in free agencies, in this offseason, right? I mean, I just don't think we can go to war with Sammy, Cobb, and Lazard. I just don't. I don't think that's our receiving core. We have to add somebody else, and I rather pick up more big names earlier in that first round of the draft than say go trade away the future, for a Metcalf or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think we all would love to see a couple of wide receivers in this draft. Quick question. I mean, if the Packers take 3 wide receivers, okay, let's say they take 2 first-round receivers and somebody in the 4th round, 5th round.
Yep.
Does that change your bargaining position with free agent wide receivers at all? Like, do you look at an Odell Beckham Jr. and who wants, I don't know, $8 million a year or $10 million a year, and you're just like, well, we just, we're really excited about these guys.
Yeah.
So
100%. I think you forget about all those guys. I think if you get at least 3 and one of them is in the first round of this draft, I think you forget about it unless you're getting an amazing deal, right, to play with Aaron or something. I think you have to forget about him because, to your point, if we go heavy receiver, then you got that safety position, or you got the fill in the blank. You got someone getting hurt, so we need to go pick somebody out position. I think if we get 3 receivers, that's a 6 receiver room then. Amari Rodgers, I assume he's still on the roster, correct?
Yeah, this is only his 2nd year.
Jesus.
He's still on the team.
Ugh, so it's a seven receiver room. I mean, I think that's enough. I think that's the number you want to go into the season with. So assuming all those guys make the roster, no, I don't think you go and get anybody else.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else you want to cover?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised you haven't talked about the biggest signing of the year so far.
Go ahead.
I mean, Jesus. Freaking Rich, what's his name?
Bisaccia.
Let's go! Do we have
I'm
a
excited
special
about
teams?
this guy.
Do we have come on. He freaking led the Raiders to the playoffs as the interim head coach, and now we got him as a special teams guy. That's huge. I mean, if we make a 3%, if we make a 1-play improvement, we win that 49ers game, right? I mean, that's such a big deal that we're at least acknowledging there was an issue last year, which it seemed like we didn't acknowledge. Oh, we did. You and I did. But the Packers front office didn't seem to acknowledge it last year.
Yeah, I mean, I it's tough. I mean, you want to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. You want to give somebody, an entire season to show you what they can do. And, obviously they just laid an egg in the last season.
Oh, no, we saw what they could do.
Well, okay, sure. And that, the other side of that coin is, yeah, we knew what they could and couldn't do. And it, I think you can make every argument that the defense played their ass off in that game. The offense didn't show up. If you only allow, 17 points in a game with Aaron Rodgers, you should win that game, regardless of how bad the special teams is.
Yep, you're right. Anyway. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I am so excited that there's at least a change. The dude seems legit. Everyone in the Raiders organization loved him. I was actually surprised that they didn't hire him. Just based on how the team followed him. But, and I'm surprised he's taking a special teams position after having such good success as a head coach. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't take more head coach interviews. Maybe you did. I don't follow him that closely, but I love it. I love that we got Aaron back for an extension. We got to do an episode on our thoughts of Aaron's last dance with Davante. Teaser alert. I think that Aaron knew this whole time this was Davante's last season with the Packers, and that's why he put out that last dance clip. And I think he was taking more of the heat and kind of distracting from Davante. Let's not talk about this episode because we're 20 minutes in, but that's my conspiracy theory.
I mean, that sounds about right. But we'll stop right there. We'll see you. We'll see you guys live. Well, not live, but we'll we'll be probably doing a taping live tomorrow night during the first pick, or maybe during the both first round picks for the Packers, assuming they have two left at that time, with our thoughts, and we'll kind of go from there. But I'm excited for the draft tomorrow. Everybody, thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate us on your favorite podcast service, like and subscribe, and as always, Chuck, go Pack, go.
Hey, go Pack, go, Marcus!